Hi, I'm gonna need to. Okay. So I've been thinking about. I've been really spending a lot of time, like really trying to articulate what it is that is my purpose. And I know some of my purpose comes from making art, but some of it comes from helping other people to have an artistic experience. And I have been really trying to articulate what that is. And I was thinking about paint parties, um, and I love them. They're really fun because I don't have to think about what I'm painting. And often I learn like a new technique or way of doing things, and it's very relaxing. It's a little bit silly, like no one's taking themselves too seriously, and maybe everyone's a little bit tipsy, and I think that that's really lovely. Um, but it's not my art. Like I don't feel any connection to what I make in a paint party. And when I take more advanced classes that are like teaching like a technique or some kind of artistic strategy that the artist has developed, I kind of have a version of that, where like and part of it is like I'm kind of chasing something like a shiny thing, and I'm hoping to get something in the class that the class just isn't offering. So like for example, I took this is like during the pandemic, I took this online printmaking class, and I was super excited about it. And like none of the printmaking techniques were anything I didn't already know. Like I've like taught some of them already. So I don't know why I signed up for it, because like then like in the class I was like, yeah, I already know how to do this. And I was like, I think I was hoping that, and I have no reason for hoping this, that the teacher was going to give some sort of prompt for us to explore, through the printmaking techniques, like something that would be appropriate, I don't know, to printmaking. Like what can printmaking express that maybe you can't express in another medium? And I just like invented that as something that the class should offer, because it was not on offer. And I remember like kind of in this little group, like, can we have some kind of theme? And I wasn't the only one. Someone else was like, yeah, I want a theme too. And the teacher was just like, just make your art, like she was not into it at all, into that idea. But that's what my need was. I wasn't. I know how to use a lot of materials. That wasn't really. I guess I was hoping that by learning a new material, it was going to trigger a new direction. Some new way of expressing myself. And sometimes that does come through learning a new medium. But I think I was trying to get something out of the class that wasn't on offer. And teachers, like, they're teaching what they know, and it's meant to be a stepping stone that you use in your own art. But a lot of times, a lot of classes don't really teach you the part that I was looking for. And I think some of that is because a lot of art teachers have that like curse of knowledge when it comes to this. Because, and I've experienced this too, really the answers come by doing the work. Like just go work, just go make some art. The process itself answers the question. It gives new directions to explore. And I know that, but sometimes that stops working. Like you're on a, you're kind of exploring a particular path, and you kind of get everything you can out of it, and it can be really hard to like redirect. And that's what I really needed support in. I just wasn't finding a class that was offering that. And because I really struggle with a lot of questions like like I have 1,000 ideas. How am I supposed to pick just one? Or like for a while I was like wanting to do art that was like about feeling awkward and like, how do I do that? Like, other than just having an awkward person standing there, like I can't, I'm stuck. I don't know how else to do that. Or like, I've done a lot of art that explores my spiritual side, and sometimes it always ends up looking like an ad for like some sort of quantum supplement, or like, manifesting your desires kind of thing, and, how do I get past that? And I love like the idea of like archetypes and spirit guides and elementals, and I felt like I've already explored a lot of that in my art, but there was something that was keeping me from exploring it more because I don't know about Jung, and I felt like I needed to like study that before I had permission to explore those ideas through art. Or like, I have a lot of like eco anxiety or like social justice anxiety, and those are things I care about. And like, am I allowed to make art about that? Like, shouldn't I just go be an activist? And then it, kind of the bigger thing was like, I have these intellectual interests, and I have this spiritual yearning, and I have my day-to-day experiences, and I want to express all of that. Like, do I synthesize that? Do I have to pick one? How do I pick? And this advice of the answer is in the studio, the answer is in the work, was not working for me. It was like my tires were in the mud, and I was pressing that accelerator and just spinning and really not getting anywhere. Like, I was doing the work. And, I did eventually find those answers. And, maybe that is the answer. Like, I just needed, it's like a vision quest. It's something you just need to do alone. But I'm not sure that that's the case. I think that you need to do a lot of it alone. But I think that other than taking an art class about techniques, there can be an art class that is about how to explore concepts and how to get your tires out of the mud so that you can actually go in that direction. And a lot of that is like creativity coaching, but there is just like learning how to process things creatively outside of how you normally do it. So like earlier this year, I was doing these creativity catalysts, and that was the intention, was like to kind of give this sort of open-ended like thing to explore that was generic enough that it wasn't mine, that it wasn't like, here, use my idea. It was just like, here's a cool thing to explore that other artists have explored. What's your take on it? Just to kind of give a nudge in a direction and just kind of start practicing exploring. And so I was on it wasn't a coaching call, it was just like a conversation with another coach. We were just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and it was great. She really helped me draw out what I've been trying to articulate, which is I want for myself and for others, like, to go on a journey where we can, I feel like a lot of art is bypassing that. It's like how to make something beautiful, how to, learn about color, and then, there's that dip like into yourself, into your lived experience, that deeper level of your experience. And I have not felt a lot of support, except for in expressive arts. I have not felt support in that pit, in that shadow, and how to go in and how to come up. But that's what expressive arts is all about. And that's why I love it so much, because it does give you that framework. but the shortcoming to expressive arts is that it doesn't then bridge the gap. Like, well, but then how do I take this experience and make art that I can share with others that's a little bit more processed? And I think, you know, that's kind of one of the things that I'm interested in. So I want, you know, to help people have this cathartic experience about their current life and what they're bringing from the past and what they want in the future and what's just going on now, and get it out and then turn it into something. It's fodder for making art. You know, and that's always how I've been able to do art, and then I kind of stopped being able to do it that way for a while, and I've found my way back to it. And I pretend, you know, it's funny, there's so much I'm suppressing in my own art. Like, I'm doing this instead of, like, today I was like, I'm going to go to the studio, you know. So it's hard to go there. But, you know, I don't want my art to be like spiritual bypassing, or to help you continue to suppress what's happening in your life. I want it to be a way to process that, and for that experience to have value. So in this conversation that I had today with this other coach, one of the things that she said was that there's this big connection of the soul between your hands and using your hands to create something, and that pathway cures. And I really loved that image. So, you know, in my own art, I want it to reflect both the pain and the peace. It's like bittersweet, or like gallows humor. You know, I want it to be perfectly imperfect and to reflect the whole journey. And, you know, so I've like used the word deep a lot lately when I'm talking about what I want to offer. And I realized today that deep is a good answer, but really what I want is honest, like an honest, more full, this is what I'm bringing to this moment, to my art. That's what and I think that is hard, can be hard to do. Sometimes it's easy, but a lot of times people really struggle with that. And that's what I want to offer, that journey where we can be honest and vulnerable about our lived experience in the now, and get it out in a cathartic way, and then use that as fodder for a transformational artistic experience. So it isn't just the art that you make, but the journey to make it changed, you know, healed you. And, you know, that's what I'm creating. So if that's something you are interested in, if you want to have that kind of experience, then you can go to my website and join my mailing list. And you'll get freebies. There's so many freebies. So you can go to laurelanter.com and diatribe over.